Hey there, lazy BAs. Are you feeling like your business analysis skills could use a little polish? We've all been there. Today, we're diving into the top 5 BA blunders that can derail your projects and leave you scrambling. But don't worry, because I'll also give you some lazy BA solutions to avoid these mistakes and become the best BA that you can be. First of all, mistake number one is assuming that you know the role before you know your team. So I know you've been there, you've done that. You walk in to a position, you know what your role is, right? You got this. However, that's really only part of the story. Every single project and every single team is different, even within the same company. So you don't want to step on toes or miss key tasks because you didn't fully realize the scope of your role based upon this set of stakeholders and this dev team and this project. So here's the lazy BA solution. Always clarify your role. Doesn't hurt. Just schedule a quick hello with your project manager, key stakeholders, and your development resources like developers, testers, designers, etc. Understanding everyone's expectations of how your BA skills fit into the overall team dynamic saves time and prevents misunderstandings down the road. Briefly explain to these people your approach and ask about their needs or concerns and identify preferred communication channels. For example, I have worked with developers that don't like animated emojis in their Slack communications. So I needed to accommodate for that. Some don't like getting an email each time you have a question. Maybe they want to have a summary of questions at the end of the day, whatever it is. So find out how they like to communicate. This upfront investment pays dividends throughout the entire project and future projects that you work on with this team. Totally set the tone that you're approachable and you're there to support them whenever they need you. By being a collaborative BA, you become a valuable asset from the very beginning. All right, on to mistake number two, engaging stakeholders too late in the process. I'm not Yeah, I do this. I still do this to this day. I get heads down in the requirements gathering, right? I'm writing requirements, I'm brainstorming, I'm going crazy. I'm laser focused on capturing everything perfectly, trying to find out every edge case possible, right? And making sure that everything flows. But sometimes that laser focus can make you forget about keeping stakeholders in the loop. So we might talk to them in the beginning to clarify the requirements, but before you know it, you've gone really far and you have this oh crap moment because you know you haven't talked to your stakeholders in a while. Whoopsie daisies. If you don't communicate regularly throughout the project, misalignment and last minute changes can become a real headache for everyone. The lazy BA approach is to have early and frequent stakeholder engagement. I like to schedule regular check ins to keep everyone informed, gather feedback, and avoid surprises down the road. And I put these check ins on a calendar and make it a recurring meeting. That way I don't forget. Address concerns as they happen and be a part of that conversation. All right, mistake number three, spending forever polishing perfect documentation that nobody reads. So we've all created those massive, overly detailed requirements documents that contain every edge case, everything. But spoiler alert, nobody reads those. They're huge. No one's got time for that. So the lazy BA solution is to focus on clarity, not complexity. Ditch the war and peace length documents and create concise, actionable documentation that captures the core of your requirements. Think bullet points, user stories, visuals, anything that makes the information easy to understand and to digest. Remember, documentation is a living thing. It's not a museum exhibit. Update it as needed, but don't get hung up on perfection. Clear and concise is the key. I have a video on my thoughts about documentation if you'd like to give it a gander, and I'll link to it at the end of this video. Mistake number four, getting bogged down in the what without understanding the why. Ooh, this is a biggie. Do people say, "Oh, you're just getting stuck in the weeds." Do you know what that means? It's usually where you're laser focused on the what, like specific features, functionalities, and the nitty-gritty details, instead of considering the bigger picture. You aren't asking the most important question. Why? What's the lazy BA solution to work more effectively? Well, Learn how to ask why. I mean, you don't want to sound like a 3-year-old walking around, why? 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 Well, you kind of you do. When you're working with your stakeholders, you need to use up follow-up questions like that. So what are you hoping to achieve with this feature? There's a why. How will this improve the current process? There's a why. Why are we doing this thing? And get some data on it. Does it affect two of our customers, or does it affect 2,000? So don't just gather requirements, understand the underlying reasons behind them. This helps ensure that your solutions truly address stakeholder needs and business goals. You also might discover other ways to solve that same problem that are more streamlined and effective. All right, we're wrapping it up. We're rolling it in. Mistake number 5, letting the scope creep in. Mhm. Every time I talk about scope creep, I think about the commercials for, God, what is it? I can't even remember what they are, but it's the little phlegmy guy, the little green guy, the phlegm. That's what scope creep looks like to me. So scope creep is a project's worst enemy. You start slowly adding tasks and features that weren't originally planned, and before you know it, your project timeline freaking explodes and everyone is stressed out. The lazy BA approach? Well, I actually have an entire video on this topic as well. But first of all, clearly define your project scope up front. This is your project blueprint. Outline exactly what's included and what's not and why. Get everyone's buy in, stakeholders, developers. Everyone needs to agree on that scope document. Then get stakeholder sign off. Don't skip this step. Having a signed document ensures that everyone's on the same page and it helps avoid misunderstandings later. Finally, actively manage proposed changes. New ideas are going to pop up. That's inevitable, but don't just accept them automatically. Analyze each change. Does it align with the project goals? Can we handle it with our current resources? Don't be afraid to push back on unrealistic requests that fall outside the original scope. Remember, lazy BAs, by avoiding these common pitfalls, you can become a valuable asset to your team and ensure that your projects are successful. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for hanging out. Lazy BA out.